Hey, how's it going, everybody? Dr. Medic here. This month we have easily the most contentious class in the game to talk about, Sniper. If you don't know at this point, this is the series where I take my underappreciated weapons video from last July and I cut it up into segments for your enjoyment. It is one weapon for each slot. The thing is that original video was an hour and 40 minutes long, which turned a lot of people away. This is meant to be a far more approachable format for those individuals. To make things more interesting though, especially for those who've seen the original, this one will have a new segment at the end created specifically for this video. That weapon could be for any slot I want it to be for. Now that you're caught up, let's get into it. Sniper is one of the strongest classes in the game, able to dispatch 5 of the 9 classes in just a fraction of a second, and with a bit of patience, all of the classes, even a full overheal heavy, assuming he isn't actively using a weapon like the Brass Beast, Natasha, or Fist of Steel, or maybe if you're using one of the weird manpower power-ups. I haven't played manpower in years, I'm not even 100% sure. And he can do this from a dark corner 3,000 hammer units away, where nobody will be able to see him. Sniper's primaries are pretty strong, I believe we all know this. However, there are 2 that are slept on. I'd like to give an honorable mention to the Sydney Sleeper, the OG body shot king. The Sydney Sleeper is my favorite rifle out of all of Sniper's rifles because it does what Sniper is supposed to do. Support, offering your team an opportunity to deal 35% more damage to enemies. It also requires some patience in order to do any sort of real damage. And it can't be spammed, I guess? Wrong word, but you know what I mean. This isn't about the Sydney Sleeper though. No, this is about an OG weapon. A classic, if you will. No, the classic. The Classic is a carryover from Team Fortress Classic. It doesn't work exactly like it does from TFC. In fact, not at all. It's completely different except for the look of it is pretty similar, I guess. And then one main function. That is that charging, rather than being tied to your scope, is tied to how long you hold down M1. So if you hold M1 for a few seconds, it will charge up to full, like it did in Team Fortress Classic. That was the main upside of this weapon. This does help keep you from tunnel visioning or hitting those close-up shots that you can't really do as easily with the lower field of view. So it makes it a little easier to do some damage, you know. And you can also jump while charging, which is cool, I guess. You can move around a little bit, kind of see your surroundings. The downsides, however, are why people tend to hate this weapon. The weapon has a 10% damage penalty on body shots. Okay, that's not too bad. But it also cannot crit unless it is fully charged, which is why this weapon is absolutely hated. But why am I defending it? Well, because it's a goddamn sniper rifle. This thing has Liberty Launcher Syndrome almost as bad, if not worse than Liberty Launcher. It is bad compared to sniper rifles, but it is not bad compared to any other weapon in the game. The Classic does require some patience to actually use effectively, since you have to wait the full 3.3 seconds in order to headshot. And it's less broken compared to stock, the Tsar Bargain, and Machina if you ask me, but that's the thing. It's still a sniper rifle. You can delete classes from across the map. You can still take out overhealed heavies without the aforementioned weapons that could negate this on literally any other sniper rifle you're using with the exception of the Machina. It's still extremely strong. No damage fall off, nothing like that. And yeah, I know it's bad compared to other sniper rifles in pretty much every way. However, it is not bad as a weapon as a whole, and I think that's where the problem lies. The thing is one of the strongest weapons in the game, but it is the weakest in slot. The weakest of the bloodline, if you will. I do think the no headshots while fully charged mechanic is a bit overkill. Maybe it should mini crit or something like that. You know, kind of like how the Sydney Sleeper does now. The Sydney Sleeper got that ability. It used to not be able to headshot at all, just like the Classic, but it got the ability to at least mini crit on headshot, which did improve and, you know, gave you a reason to actually aim for the head. But personally, I like this concept since it actually requires a commitment to a kill or to a target before obliterating them from a million miles away. The Classic needs work, no doubt. But don't forget that it is a sniper rifle. It is on sniper, and it can put in the work just like any other sniper rifle, it's just slower. The sniper rifle is not a bad weapon, it is just kind of underwhelming compared to other sniper rifles. You can still make this thing work. For my secondary, I also have 2 weapons, or weapon class rather, but specifically one of them I really want. The SMG and Cleaner's Carbine. The SMG family is often underrated due to the utility of Girardi and other backpack items. There are only 2 SMGs in the game, but I want to talk about one that people often give a lot more heat than it really deserves. The Cleaner's Carbine. The Cleaner's Carbine is an interesting weapon. It has the hidden upside of slightly suppressing the sound of firing, making it a bit harder to hear, but that doesn't really do much in a game like TF2. I thought I'd mention it, it is there, since a lot of people don't really mention it. The main draw of this weapon is the other upside, the real upside, where dealing 100 damage with the Cleaner's Carbine will fill up your crikey meter. Activating the charge will grant you 8 seconds of mini crits on any of your weapons, including the Cleaner's Carbine itself, which means it can be paired quite well with something like the Bushwhacker. The downsides are a slight magazine reduction from 25 to just 20 and a flat 25% firing speed penalty. The Cleaner's Carbine is often hated as it is seen as a subpar weapon compared to the SMG, which is also seen as quite subpar to a lot of other weapons in Sniper's kit. While the Cleaner's Carbine is no minigun, it can put in the work. 100 damage, while it seems like a lot, and when you're having a bad game it definitely is, I know what that's like. On average, filling this meter is not going to be all that difficult. You'll at least get 1 to 2 in a single life. You'll then be granted 8 full seconds of mini crits. 35% extra damage with no fall off, which is actually pretty strong, if you didn't know. And this thing doesn't have a damage penalty, so it does full SMG damage. However, if you would like to pair this thing with something else, pairing it with something like the Huntsman, so rather than leaving a light class like 5 health with a body shot, you'll now be able to kill light classes and even medics, leaving demos and pyros at 13 HP with a 162 damage arrow. Yeah, it's actually pretty good instead of 120, in case you didn't know. It can be paired with anything, and if you want to pair it with the weapon that was actually intended to be paired with, being the Hitman's Heatmaker, then you can. But I honestly don't find that these weapons synergize that well. They used to, and I'll kind of briefly touch on that in a little bit, but now they're just kind of together. They're both suppressed. That's really the only thing that's keeping them in the same set anymore. Then of course you have the good old-fashioned Bushwhacker combo. While yes, it is true, it's not as brain dead as it is with the Girardi, it is still viable, and you'll likely get fewer threats in chat if you use it this way. And 8 seconds of mini crits on anybody, not just people you soaked, is pretty cool. And it's also great for tank shredding. I had to bring that up. Of course, everybody knows if you're an MVM player, it is phenomenal for tank shredding since the tank does not require any additional damage in order to fill the meter. Just 100 damage to the tank, which is pretty much nothing, so it shreds tanks. The Cleaner's Carbine can still put in the work outside of this. While the damage is low, it can be enough to ward off enemies from pursuing you if you mag dump them. And you dump enough rounds into them in general, they'll probably run away, or they'll be so low that pretty much a gust of wind will kill them. The Cleaner's Carbine, like I said, is no minigun, but it's not a bad secondary, and it often gets a bad rap. Mostly due to sharing a slot with easy to use stuff like Girardi and shields. Or maybe they're just old heads and remember when this thing offered you 3 seconds of crits on kill but fired 35% slower. I don't know, that's traumatic. And that's what I was kind of talking about earlier. Yes, this thing used to offer you 3 seconds of full crits on kill. There was no crikey meter. As long as you did anything, I guess as long as the finishing blow was from the Cleaner's Carbine, you would get 3 seconds of crits, which was pretty cool, but it doesn't work like that anymore. And honestly, it's better than it was then. Anyways, the Cleaner's Carbine and the SMG family of 2 as a whole are good weapons and should not be slept on as much as they are in my opinion. Now, time for the melees. Sniper's melees are properly rated, so I'm going to keep this segment brief compared to the others. The weapon I decided to choose for this slot, it was kind of difficult. I was thinking, should it be the Demoman Shiv? No, that weapon's pretty properly rated, and I don't think it's all that good at all, so not really going to talk about that one. Should it be the Bushwhacker? Yeah. Should it be stock? No, I think most people understand the reliability of stock with the exception of on Medic, but Medic does have the Uber Saw, and that's kind of its own situation. No, I decided for this segment to go with one of the most boring weapons in TF2, the Shahansha. The Shahansha is very simple. 25% less damage when above half, and then 25% more damage when below half health. Which means you can do 49 damage if you are above half health, and then you will deal 81 if you are below, making it better for getting in those last swings when you're closer to death, I guess. That's kind of the point of it. The Shahansha isn't hated, really it's not, but it's often considered useless or rather just not that great, kind of boring, due to its simple nature. However, I've gotten out of many jams thanks to the additional damage that this thing offers when at low health. While random crits are BS, it has definitely saved me more than enough times from soldiers and demo knights in my time using this, because the crit damage is enough to deal with them in just a single swing, dealing 244 damage. Yeah, technically it does 146 damage if you are above half, but you wouldn't be able to deal with the soldier anyway. And even if without crits taking into account, this weapon isn't that bad. So, yeah, it's alright. Plus, it can now 3-hit soldiers and 2-hit medics, which is pretty neat, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not even going to do a big reveal of sorts like I did with the other ones. I thought about including the SMG or the Kukri, but I think the easiest choice is a weapon that I already talked about briefly. That being the Sydney Sleeper. The Sydney Sleeper, you either hate it or you hate it less. I'm just kidding. I absolutely adore the Sydney Sleeper for a couple of reasons. Maybe I'm the only one. Before I get into those, we gotta do the whole break down the stats thing. It's just a formality. When hitting an enemy with a scope shot, you will soak them in urine for 2 to 5 seconds, with the time scaling with the length of your charge. The longer you charge, the longer the enemy is coated in Girardi. If you somehow don't know, it causes those soaked in it to have their screens distorted a piss yellow, but more importantly, take 35% more damage, as well as all attacks ignoring falloff, mini crits. The weapon also sports a 25% faster charge rate, reducing that 3.3 second maximum charge down to just 2.7 seconds. For the downsides, well, first, it can headshot, being the true body shot king. Though, hitting a headshot will still cause a mini crit and will also take 1 second off your Girardi cooldown timer for some reason. Oh yeah, it also has a no random crit stat. This may seem bizarre seeing as all sniper rifles are unable to random crit, but at one time the Sydney Sleeper actually could random crit. It also could penetrate enemies. And it used to apply Girardi for 8 seconds. 8 full seconds. Though it had to be at a minimum of 50% charge, otherwise it would apply no Girardi. And it didn't have a faster charge speed. The Sydney Sleeper was really weird when it was released. It had to be tweaked 100 times. But now we have the version we have today. So back to what I was saying about loving the Sydney Sleeper, and why I think it's, for lack of a better word, slept on. I'm sorry. The Sydney Sleeper does what Sniper is supposed to do. Support. And I love it for that. Coating enemies in Girardi is a huge plus and can help turn the fight into the favor of your teammates in just a matter of a few milliseconds after your click registers. 35% more damage for your teammate is no joke and should not be understated. Though some of you may say, why not just kill them outright? To that I say, well, if you can, yes, the stock sniper rifle, the Bizarre Bargain, or Machina are going to be better in most situations. I'm not denying that fact, though the Sydney Sleeper does have some perks. First, mini crits is nice on enemies that are being healed by the Vaccinator, or really jumpy and hard to hit, or if you're just having a bad day. Sometimes hitting those tiny little heads can be really difficult. This sniper allows you to miss the head and still be quite impactful. Is this a skill issue? Yes, I suppose, but that's not a bad thing. You can also use this coating ability in conjunction with your submachine gun. It can be great to hit an enemy with a Sydney Sleeper shot, then whipping out your SMG, dealing 11 damage per shot. You'll be surprised how quickly that drains your enemy's life force. Even more if they decide to run towards you. You could also hit them with a scope shot, and then hit them with a 68 damage body shot. That may seem low, and against a full health heavy, yeah, sure, but against most classes, this is able to cripple them dearly. It also is still capable of body shotting like any other sniper. It has no damage penalty. Yes, once again, if you can hit your headshots consistently enough to just delete enemies running at you, you are better off using that, but this is a great rifle on good days and bad days. The second reason, cheese. Why do I say cheese? This ain't no picture. I say cheese because that 25% charge speed is BS sometimes. Yeah, it allows you to more easily get that full 5 seconds of Girardi on someone. That can be super helpful, especially shooting a fully overhealed enemy. It could be nice. Though, you remember me saying that this weapon has no damage penalty? Yeah, so now you can charge up your rifle 25% faster, which only comes out to half a second, but in a game of seconds is huge. This allows you to charge up super fast and become the true body shotting king that you are destined to be. Those minus 150 damage body shots go hard when you drop a medic right before he's about to pop Uber, or a scout that runs by. Any light class, really. If it's a Demoman, Pyro, and Soldier, they'll either be killed outright if they've taken any damage thus far. I mean, you're leaving 25 health for a Pyro or Demoman at full health, and only 50 for a Soldier. And then what you could do is you could either whip out your SMG to finish them off, or just hit them with another body shot as they run away, which deals 68 damage since that body shot now mini crits. Heavy is a bit tougher as he won't be crippled, but he will be coated in Girardi for 5 full seconds, so it's nice. Despite Heavy's existing, the Sydney Sleeper is still able to either outright deal with 8 of the 9 classes, and it's able to severely cripple all 9. Super cool. Plus, if you do manage to actually hit the head, yes, against Heavy, it would have been better if you had the regular sniper rifle, or really any sniper rifle. You will do 203 damage. This weapon gives you a lot of wiggle room to mess up while still supporting your team in the process. I absolutely love the Sydney Sleeper, and if you are the second sniper on your team, or you're having a bad day at the plate, pick this bad boy up. You will find that it's actually pretty useful. People give this thing a bad rap when it really doesn't deserve it. Alright, that's it. Thanks for coming to my Melbourne talk. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We got one more left for the Spy, which will be coming out in July. Hey, that rhymed. I will see you all later. Bye.